Hello class and welcome to week 4 of the course. Please ignore the dates in case they are not your dates, and let's go over what is going to be due for this week. First of all, reading chapter 2 on critical reading and critique, especially focusing on that critique section of that chapter, will be helpful this week. And then you'll see some related homework. So it says critique practice. You're actually going to read something and go through the steps in the directions on that discussion board. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. And then the RWJ is pretty involved this week. That is some library research where you actually contact one of the librarians in your field of study to get some insight on the best sources for you. And if you have any trouble with that, what I want you to do is note that in your RWJ so that I know that there's an issue with that. And I also need the specific person's name in case you weren't able to get in touch with him and what mode of contact that you actually attempted. So please keep that in mind. If you look down the page here, what you're going to see is the link to the discussion board. So let's have a look at it first. And I'll just give you a few tips on it to help you out. So through the semesters, I've changed this just a little bit. And I try to do an up-to-date article of some sort for you to actually look at. So if there's nothing posted here yet, what you're going to have to do as always is hit create a thread. And then the directions will pop up for you. Or you can go straight to the discussions board link and you can actually find this same one. Just make sure that you're looking at the one that says critique practice. Also, the article, I'll just tell you a little bit about the one that I chose for this week. It is presidential related, but not necessarily all about politics. It's from the Washington Post, which has, if you've ever read it, it sort of has a slant. You know, most news sources have a slant for or against something, so they definitely have some opinion pieces that they print for and against things pretty strongly. So when you look at this, I want you to look at it not from the standpoint of whether or not you like the current president, because everyone has a political opinion. What you are doing is specifically applying critique to this. And so when I see opinion in it, that's a problem. We're practicing only your assessment of it. So as you're looking, you're going to follow step 1. You're simply going to click the link, and I'm going to go ahead and right click that and have it load in the next tab. But step 2, you're going to complete the following steps and number your answers. I want the number to answer so that I can make sure that I'm grading you fairly. Sometimes students will write things and get them all out of order, and if it's difficult for me to figure out where something is, then you end up getting a 0 on it, and I didn't want that to happen. So follow the directions very specifically. The first thing is your summarization skill. Now, one of the things you'll note once you look over the new critique paper that was posted for your next assignment is that this assignment is very in line with that assignment. So what you're going to see is you're going to see some very common things in that. So let's have a look here. I think the news article just popped up maybe, and if it didn't, we'll just go on with the assignment talk. As we're going down through here, the question, see, it says Feds Trump attorneys wrangle President DC hoteliers, and the article's as far as it happens sometimes when you're president. So I thought that was it's current and relevant to our time. So that's what I look for when I pick. You keep seeing my desktop picture pop up. It's a cicada, so hopefully that's not freaking you out. So let's have a look at this and go down through the steps. So step 1, you're going to read it. You're going to summarize. You're going to read it for the purpose of summary, so you really want to pay attention to the main points. When you're summarizing, you just do 1 paragraph, a maximum of 2. Remember that the paragraphs in this class are 5 or more sentences. You're going to also do some identification. So number 1, you'll write your summary. Number 2, you'll answer these questions in sentence format. And I really do want you to use the numbering system. I want you to do 2A, 2B, 2C, and post it in line instead of attaching it. It's a little bit easier for me to read on the grading side when you do that. So there's no special format to it or anything. Then as you move down the page, you're going to see, as soon as it comes up here, the evaluation, and it says third person only. Then you're going to see respond, first person aloud, Uh, what is your personal assessment of the article? Now, this is the part we actually use first person because you're responding to it. And so I just want to be clear on that. This is due by 11:59 on 2/19. At 12 a.m. it will close for you and you will not be allowed to be on time. I know that most of you are already on time, but I just want to mention that and make sure that you are doing your assignment on time. Because if you recall, just as a quick reminder, the only thing that you can actually turn late are these major assignments. So please keep that in mind as we move forward through the course so that you aren't missing work. And the next thing that I want to do is take you into the research writing journals. And recall that the research writing journals in general are to help you get ready for your research. I have no idea why that cicada keeps popping up, but I'm going to go ahead with the video. It just keeps flashing every time I click a link. So um, as we go down through here, that's the critique practice. And remember to create a thread there. And then let's click on the journal and see if I can sort of give you some insight into what you should be doing for that. So first of all, the research writing journal is going to take you a little bit of time, and I did mention that at the beginning of this video. So I hope that you won't wait till the last minute. You'll have some difficulty getting it done. This semester I upped the points on that because it does take a little bit of work, but it's worth it. It does a few things. If you are not oriented to the library and to um, certain research methods and options in your field of study, this is meant to help you locate those, especially since this is an online course. Sometimes it can be difficult for students to find information because you don't have the extra support of an instructor in the classroom. So let's have a look at this. First of all, your final argument paper is going to be where you take a position on something in your field of study. And sometimes students have trouble with this and they go into things like the death penalty, and if they're in the medical field, assisted suicide and gay marriage and gun control, because they somehow link it to their field of study, which is, it's highly likely that some of these could be linked to your field of study. But I do take these off the table, and there are a few others that if you end up researching those will not be viable topics. And it's only because they're overdone. The art of research is one that well, it's a skill that's learned and built over time. And some of these topics that you'll see in this one just have too much information. It's like information overload. So I really want you to focus in on your field of study, something unique to it, which means that you're going to have to spend some time this semester really looking for an issue. It could be even a sustainability issue. So that's mentioned in here as well. So what you'll do is step one, you'll just click the links, go find the library guide, and ask you a few questions about these. I want you to think about these, and then these are the actual answers. So when I ask you the questions, these are just things that you need to be thinking about as you're doing it. And I even ask you two or more that might be useful to you in your research, so that sort of helps you figure that out. And then set up an appointment to meet with your subject specialist librarian. Here are the subject specialist link. And you need to either do that in person if you're near Bowling Green, or virtually, or by email. If there is an issue with this, you are asked to tell me specifically what that issue was, because you're required to do this assignment in the course, and who you attempted to contact. So you can't just try to email a general email and then say that you tried to contact them without following up. Sometimes you may have to make more than one attempt. And I may ask for documentation of that simply because, again, this is required. So if you do send an email, be prepared to forward that to me just in case I ask for that. And step three, do research on the sources available to you and come up with 1 to 2 topics that you believe may be an argument worthy of exploring for your final paper. So as you go down here, I ask you some very specific questions about your experience. First of all, what's your field of study or future career? Write that in sentence format. That's just so that I know you're looking inside that particular field. discuss the results of your activity. So what databases did you use? What keywords did you use when you were searching for those? So you'll want to keep track of those. And what was your experience with the subject specialist librarian? Who was it and how did you contact him or her? What did you learn from the research guide? Did you find this exercise helpful? So I do want to know that as well. And please be honest, because that way I know how to tweak this maybe to make it better. So if you want to give a suggestion on E, please by all means do. Also, summarize one of the articles that you found in 1 to 2 paragraphs. You'll want to be very specific about it and make sure that you give me the citation, because there is a possibility of me to spot check this and make sure that you are actually summarizing those in the order that the points are made in the article and objectively without using quotes. And you do have to cite your source here. So as you go on down, write a working thesis statement for your possible topic that you chose during your research. This is pretty important. And what I do with English 300, at this point you may not need this, but sometimes students forget how to write a good thesis statement or they struggle with it. And so these two little tools, if you click the links, what they do is they ask you for specific information to put in, and they sort of generate it for you, and then you have to tweak it. Now, keep in mind that the quality you put in is the quality you get out. So you have to really think about these statements that you're putting in to get a good quality generated thesis statement out of this. And I feel comfortable providing these to students because, hey, not having to recreate the wheel is a good thing. And sometimes if you're struggling with something, the thesis statement can be the beginning and block all your further efforts. So feel free to use that, but make sure that you make it a coherent sentence before you paste it to this, because it counts as part of your grade. If you see here, you have 4 parts to this. And the majority of your points are attributed to 3 and 4. I'm sorry, 2, 3, and 4. So just naming your field of study is a point. So please be mindful of your grammar as well. If you look on this assignment, once you click it, you're going to see a little rubric in there. And if you don't know where these are, I want to show you really quick. I haven't slept on the video. So let me show you. What I've done is I've clicked preliminary information, and these you always attach as a Word document, .docx or .rtf. And in the past, students who have Apple computers have some trouble, so make sure that you don't have something that looks like it has 0 characters in it. Always look to make sure it was turned in. So when you look at this, it says view rubric. If you click that, it's going to show you the rubric for the assignment, which may be helpful. And in this case, most of the RWJs are broken down either into a couple categories, saying you get full credit, half credit, or no credit, or I actually take those and break them down into different sections of what you're being asked to do. In this case, it's a short rubric that just literally tells, you get half credit or somewhere around there for these issues, and all credit for all of the requirements were met, and that does mean all of them. I do look at grammar pretty closely, if you notice this, so please always keep that in mind whenever you're doing these assignments, that I do look at that. And none of us are perfect. I make mistakes all the time. The key here is to double check your reading and just be mindful of any mistakes that you're making. Make sure you correct them next time, and make sure you're reading my comments as well. It's been a pleasure working with you so far. You all are doing a great job. I hope that this video was helpful, and please contact me with any questions that you have. Have a good day.